Hello, my name is Aaron Kavanagh and I'm the founder and editor-in-chief of Post-Burnout.com. Post-Burnout.com is a culture website dedicated to venerating burnt-out artists the world over. This is our website's podcast where we publish full-length recordings of our interviews, which are sometimes the unedited versions of our site's articles and at other times are exclusives. If you're a returning listener, thank you for coming back, and if this is your first time listening, thank you for checking us out. We hope you enjoy and consider subscribing, giving the episodes a thumbs up if you're on YouTube, or giving it a rating if you're anywhere else. It really helps us out. Thank you. Alright, in this edition of Post-Burnout.com interviews, we talk with vocalist and guitarist DJ Campbell and bassist Dylan Scully of the Dublin rock band Pretty Ltd. They discuss meeting at the first year of BIMM, how the project transitioned from their previous metal band Minus 10,000 Hours, Dylan's work as a concert photographer and how the shows that he captured helped influence the ideas for this band, how Pretty Ltd differs from the members' other projects, the Irish music scene, and much more. Okay, so there's two things I want to note here. The first is that we recorded this at the end of April, and it was the day after they released the single Easy. However, as we mentioned in this interview, they have a plan to release a new single each month. So since this interview was recorded, they've released their follow-up single, Me. So just ignore that. The second thing I want to note is we recorded this at Sinead, which for those who don't know is a pub in Dublin. We recorded it there and there was music playing in the background. Now, I've had that before, and what I do is I use a program to remove the music in the background for two reasons. One is because I don't want it drowning out what we're saying, and the second is for copyright reasons. I don't want to get flagged. Now, normally this software has never caused any kind of issue in terms of the actual speech of either me or the person I'm interviewing, but I think in the case of this episode, DJ and Dylan both sound fine, but my voice is a little gurgled and not as clear. So just be aware of that going in, that was a result of the software as far as I know. Other than that, enjoy.
They didn't do it.
Wrong record, so stop. Yeah, no, the first thing I was going to ask, kind of just a bit about, how you guys kind of got music individually and kind of what your own, backgrounds are individually, I guess.
Musically, my dad's always been mad into music. My name literally comes from Bob Dylan, his favourite musician. I had the same birthday as him, and as soon as that was even a chance, my dad was like, "We're naming him Dylan." There was no
same birthday, same year. It's
nicknames him Bob.
Yeah, exactly. I've always been fascinated with music as a kid. I was my parents were playing the Beatles and stuff like that for me growing up. And I never thought about it much. It was always just there. Do you know what I mean? And it wasn't until finishing secondary school, it's oh, you have to pick something to do now. And it's I like music.
Yeah.
Recording, maybe. And I sucked at that. So went to college for that for a year. I was just really bad at it. And then ended up going to BIMM the year after that. And that's where I met DJ as well.
Yes, me.
For yourself, kind of thing?
For myself, nobody in my family was into music and stuff like that. It was just that thing of guitar lessons started in school when you're in second or third class or something like that. And then it was that became the bane of my existence for couple of years. Mum and dad be like, I paid for that at the start of the year. You have to follow through. You have to keep going. I'm fucking hate it. It was maths.
Your primary thought.
What?
Your primary school thought?
Yeah.
That's the same, man. We just did some whistle.
Oh, man. You should see me play guitar. It doesn't look like it. But it's more so one of those things that was did it up until I was so I started when I was 8, did it until I was 12. And then I was oh, I'm so glad I get to put this thing down and never play it again. And then being 16 and growing a side fringe and started wearing checkers, it was oh, I'm gonna start a band. And I picked back, oh, I can already play a few things, blah blah blah, and then just got into music, starting a band. And that's how I started to write as well. It was do a few covers, a few Paramore tunes, a bit of How You Remind Me by Nickelback, and then then started doing little shows. I'm from Kilkenny, so that's why we did little shows back there. And then the exact same thing with Dylan. It was oh, you got to pick something, put something on your CAO.
Yeah.
I found about BIMM last minute. Didn't even have it at the top of my CEO, but I didn't get enough points, so that's why I ended up in BIMM. I could have been an intellectual disability nurse, but I ended up as a failed musician.
Yeah, it's always good to have a fallback,
Exactly. Yeah.
No, I think that's like so true. Anyone gets into creative arts, whether it's BIM or IDT, NCAD or whatever, it's always just like I didn't know what the fuck I wanted to do. I just went to something that was creative.
Go into the arts and then make up your mind 6 or 7 years after your 4-year degree. You know what I mean? Once you hit 30, you're like, maybe I should go back to college and do something on purpose.
Maybe I should have picked a career.
Start to code with my 30s.
It's always like when you see someone who's like in the same course you having like a really good career, like how the fuck do you manage that? We did the same thing, So you were mentioning like kind of like starting when you were doing your own thing, kind of doing like Paramore and then Nickelback covers. I was wondering like when you were Done, what were you kind of like listening to? What was kind of
I kind of was the same as him. Like I started a bit lighter, like with like the likes of like the Hives and Blur, like those kind of indie alternative kind of bands, and that slowly started to lead into like Fall Out Boy and the emo scene, and then that eventually led to like Korn and Slipknot, and then Cradle of Filth. And, it just progressively got heavier and heavier for like my teenage years. Up until college, and then it started to reverse again and go like, oh yeah, not everything has to be heavy all the time. Like we can do other things, we can listen to other things. Just because it's not heavy doesn't mean it's not, or doesn't mean it's bad. You know,
there's no distortion on that. Fuck shit.
Yeah, exactly. Like that was the whole attitude during like my teenage years, like right up until college, and from then like just. I think especially in BIMM, like I can't remember who I heard saying this. I think it was Killian Dry Eyes. I think he was talking about this on Barra's podcast, and he was like, BIMM makes loads of people soft. Like loads of people that come in like real metalheads and then they kind of like come out of it because of BIMM. And like to a certain degree I think I was the same. Like but
I bought my first pair of skinny jeans and pointed toe shoes
when
I was in BIMM.
Sure enough, I was in big fucking camo combats, like 20 sizes too big for me, full on 2000s new metal. Like. But like, a lot of it was meeting him as well, like because his writing at the time was so weird. Like it was just really fucking out there, like
crazy.
Like we used to call it like schizophrenic rock because we'd jump from one fucking genre to another, and so like that ended up making me kind of go, oh yeah, I want to listen to a bit of this actually, like to inform this and kind of things. So
for me, like I would look back and say that like it was fun and all, but I wrote stupid. I was like one of the best things about being in a crowd is kind of like, for me now anyway, and probably was back then, but I wasn't in the crowd as much, playing more gigs, but it was like when you're in the crowd now, you kind of want that connection with the band, that like when they're fucking playing a song and it's at a tempo, you're dancing to that tempo, or you're rocking out to that tempo or whatever. But I used to have this thing when I was writing in the old band Minus, that my favorite thing was like, oh, let's do 4 bars of a cool riff and the crowd starts jumping, and then just switch it into jazz or blues or reggae, like really quick, so people in the crowd are going, oh yeah, oh yeah, now I'm feeling it, but only give them a taste and go back into something else, and I fucking love that. And then I realised that's actually really shit for the crowd.
Most people don't find that fun. Like.
It's more so the people that are like lying up on the side of the bar are like laughing at the crowd and being like, I like that. That's cool. But from like a
so you're playing to the back of the room.
Exactly. I'm picturing the people at the bar naked, like everybody else is dancing fully clothed. That kind of thing.
And then you realise you didn't even notice, so you have to do it again.
Yeah, exactly. Loop it up, boys. Which part? There was like 8 parts.
I love something you were saying there, Dylan, like the idea of a Hives to Cradle of Filth kind of pipeline. You know what I mean? They come from that. I think that's like 6. What were you kind of listening to DJ then at that point? Like when you were kind of going, actually, what course were you studying?
Yeah, it was the commercial modern music course. We were the very first year of BIMM in 2011. But like, Jesus. Going into BIMM, like, I was going to say fresh, but it's 4 years since, but like, I was a big Metro Station fan. Like
that's the most dated thing.
Into fucking, I like literally a couple of months before going into BIMM, I got my audition. I was like, oh no, I can't come in, I'm in the studio. And I'm like, oh yeah, that makes me sound cool. And then I was in the studio recording like Your Love Is My Drug by Kesha. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was doing kind of like emo-y, rocky versions of it or whatever, like chugging a guitar, but like...
If you remember the Punk Goes Pop album.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I was trying to like lean into at the time. But like, the stuff that I was doing at the time was very, very emo. Like fucking.
Or it was like, what's that cover? The Day to Remember's cover, Since You've Been Gone.
Yeah, exactly. Like that, but it's nowhere near as cool. Like definitely way worse. But yeah, that kind of stuff. And then like going into BIMM, like I was the same as Dylan. Like I had like a few mates that got me into like Slipknot, Korn, and all that shit. Like while growing up, but like it was never. I'd listen to it and enjoy it, but it was never my jam really or whatever. I was definitely always on the poppier side, if not actually somewhere in the charts.
Yeah.
Towards like fucking, what was it? It was in college where I found Biffy, or just the year before college I found Biffy, and like Queens of the Stone Age and stuff like that. And them two are like my favorite bands of all time now. Like so that's my kind of music or whatever. But getting into BIMM was a bit of a whirlwind, and I had that identity crisis in BIMM of being like, oh, what do I like? What should I like? What should I play? I'm playing this, and people are going, eh. And then I was kind of like, oh, I'm going to be an acoustic artist. I was in the songwriting thing. Yeah, exactly. So much drama in my own head, and nobody was listening to anything I was doing, so I should have just... And that's when I made Minus, and I was like, I'm just going to push everything together, you know what I mean? So that was that.
Would you guys at the time hang around like the bank or Season Screen, stuff like that?
I didn't. I missed that.
I did, yeah. I was.
You probably would have saw each other there back then.
Sorry?
We probably would have saw each other there back then.
Yeah, like that's the fucking thing. Like, there's so many people that I would have been around back then at Central Bank that I wouldn't recognize now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, they're just completely different people because everybody just had the one fringe. And
everybody wears suits.
Yeah. Everybody has jobs and kids and shit. And I'm still here. Come check out my band, please.
Ick, you're 13 in a band.
So yeah, I mean, starting this project Pretty Ltd. So like, how did this kind of like come together? I mean, and Dylan, for yourself, I mean, like when you started playing bass, was it for this project or you've been playing beforehand?
So I started playing bass for one of my first bands when I was like 15 or something like that. It was literally like I got my first bass because a mate of mine in school he had a bass at his house and he was like, "Do you want to trade me your PSP for a bass?" And I was like, "Yeah, cool." Like I had a guitar and I was playing guitar and I just thought the PSP was shit. I had no games for it. And I was like, "Yeah, fuck it, why not?" Turns out it wasn't even his bass.
Yeah.
It was his friends that had left it there. So I basically stole someone's bass.
Halfway proxy.
Yeah, and ended up just kind of like noodling around with it, and then other mates of mine were starting a band, they needed a bassist, and I was like, fuck it, I have a bass, I'll give it a try. And just ended up finding it way more fun, like was able to mess around and like not like, be a little bit pulled back from the center of attention of the sound, but still be able to be really creative with it. And from there, then that's how I ended up going to BIMM. Like I went to BIMM for bass because I just enjoyed it so much. It really felt like the instrument I was called to. Then like at that time I was playing in a metal band, and that band like kept going throughout BIMM, and afterwards me and DJ met in BIMM, and he had already had his old band minus 10,000 hours going at the time, but with friends of his from back home who were all going to different colleges and shit like that. And he, for one of our assignments, we had to do an original set. And he was like, "Hey, I have all these original songs. I'm just playing out." And I was like, "Fuck it, yeah, let's do it." So we ended up doing that. And then from there, he was like, "Hey, so all the other members of the band like don't want to be in the band anymore. Do you want to be in the band?" And I was like, "Yeah, okay."
Wrote me in now.
Yeah. I know all the songs, so I may as fucking well. Like, and from there, like we've just been playing with each other, playing together ever since, basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
And yeah, like we did Minus for however many fucking years, and while we were doing, like, after COVID, we had kind of written a load of new songs and had even gigged them as Minus once or twice, and we all kind of just said, like, this isn't what Minus was. We don't want to play any of the old songs anymore. Can we not just start fresh? Just be brand new, you know? And that's kind of how Pretty Ltd came about then. We just said, let's start again, you know, reboot kind of thing.
And it's not even a year old, it's Pretty Ltd. Yeah, I think it was August last year or something.
Yeah,
like
a
that.
year in about August, yeah.
Where did the title come from? It was actually reminding me of Public Image Limited. That's when I read it. That's
Public
what
Image
first
Limited,
that's the first thing I thought of, and also Pretty Vacant, I guess.
Well, like the way I thought of it, it's like the reason I thought of Minus 10,000 Hours as a name was that, like, takes 10,000 hours to perfect something. Negative that, you're shit. You know what I mean? And then kind of kept in that theme.
That's good.
Pretty limited. I'm pretty limited at what I do. Like, you know what I mean? That's our, hey guys, we're pretty limited. It's like kind of fits into that ethos. You know?
It's one of those things that doesn't immediately sound like a joke, but then when you kind of hear it and you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
I can't believe I've missed that for so long. You know? And, then like just that kind of tied into the whole image and stuff of like just trying to be this like pretend brand kind of like, you know, as well. Like,
yeah, we're a limited company.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, like, you know, as you mentioned, it's like been around for about a year now. I mean, the first single, High, came out I think in August, if I'm correct. Since then, I mean, there's been like a steady release every month since February this year. Is that still the planned trajectory for the rest of the year? How's it going? Is that just how it came out?
I think like at the moment, like it's a song up on every month from February until June.
At least June. Maybe another one in July. And if we can push it to August, we will.
Okay.
We have the backlog there. It's just kind of like, you know, setting the dates that we want to like get shit out. You know?
And deciding if some of the tracks are still what we want to release. You know, there's a lot of different kind of questions to ask ourselves, like, in the meantime. Because, the next three singles were like, or the next two singles, I should say, were really fucking excited for.
Yeah.
Like the last one that we just put out yesterday, Easy, was kind of like the first of a batch of three where we were like, these are
the fun ones.
These are the really fun ones that like they're probably our favorites to play live as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're kind of, you know, thinking about what to do next, like talking about an EP and stuff like that, but we're not 100% set on anything yet. We're just trying
planning
to
to play as many shows and get booked for as many shows between now and the end of the year. That's the idea.
Yeah. The big thing that we kind of like know we want to do this year is just play everywhere that we haven't played yet. You know,
that's one of like our first one is in Derry this weekend. Like we haven't played Derry ever,
I've never played Derry in my life.
Where are you playing?
Playing in Bennigan's Bar on the 27th. So
this won't be up.
Yeah.
That's just a question.
It was great, I swear.
If you can go back in time, come to the game because it was actually sold out. Like, there was so many days.
I just love the idea of like the Dempsey gig that he's broke over here. It's like fucking Pulp Fiction or something. Someone's like listen to it afterwards.
Sitting on gold. And then Cork then the week after.
Yeah.
And then down in Limerick on the 24th of May. Supporting Robert Graves, like a TikTok artist.
It's a mental one for us. Like, he's just like a big pop dude, you know, like full on pop tunes. Yeah. And we're there as many little rockers.
Yeah.
I gotta ask, man. So you were mentioning, like, you know, with your previous band, you know, like it was like metal as far. This is obviously the complete opposite. I mean, when you kind of do that, like kind of 180 trajectory, you kind of have to go like, oh shit, we have to, like, all our old connections don't really work anymore. All the kind of old crowd don't really work anymore. Do you have to, do you find that you have to kind of reach out in the different avenues that you haven't prior, or how's that kind of work? Like, is there any hangover from the old band?
No, because like, to be honest, I actually think that it's kind of like the way I'm kind of thinking of it is that like the stuff at the moment for me, I'm kind of writing in the stuff that I used to really, really like. I felt like I was trying too hard being something that I wasn't really into. And I'm kind of going back to stuff that I was really into before BIMM, like as like, I don't know, 15, 16-year-old, whatever, like what I was loved doing, but like doing it with a lot more experience, doing it with a lot more, like, I don't know, knowing when something's too cringy to go, get that out, you know,
a bit more panache.
Yeah, exactly. But kind of like, just kind of like, I always feel that like every time you go to a metal show, 50 to 60% of the crowd is undercover emo.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I don't care if you have like 5 battle jackets on, like, you know what I mean? You're there like going home listening to Boys Like Girls. You know, that kind of thing. It's more so just like chorusy music, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's and still like live we hit hard. You know what I mean? It's still like fucking loud, it's still distorted, it's still like heavy in the pop way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not we're not a backing track band either, so you know.
It's not anything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We're still literally one guitar, bass, drums, and all three of us just singing. You know, like as kind of raw as it can get.
Garage pop nearly, you know what I mean? Like, because you're getting that kind of, you're just getting a loud force in front of you that's you can actually sing along to after you hear the first chorus. Like, it's very simple at the end of the day.
Are you guys playing the same venues that you we played?
Yeah, like we fucking used to play in Fibbers loads. We haven't played in Fibbers in quite a while, but like besides that, like here we played here in Chennai, like wouldn't mind us a good few times. Yeah,
we're playing in Fred's in Cork again.
Okay,
we played there before as well. Limerick,
we played in Pharmacia once.
We played Pharmacia before, and we did play Dublins once, but we played a different stage to the one we're doing this time.
Oh, was it the Casbah one?
Yeah, so we played in Casbah previously. We're doing the upstairs stage this time. Yeah, like most of the venues will be the same, really, except for Ireland. Exactly. There's not that much choice, like realistically speaking, which is a massive shame.
It can be hired for sitting rooms.
Yeah, honestly, I'll fucking play anywhere. Like,
just move your TV.
Or don't.
Or don't.
Yeah. But I will not be paying for it. Absolutely. Like.
Oh, sweet curve on that Samsung, dude.
Thanks, I made it with my foot.
Yeah, no, man. It's like, I don't know. I think it's really cool. Like, I mean, like little venues we have, like little pockets and stuff like that around. Thing where even like now, you know, I don't know, man. It's like, you know, you sort of say a place and go, oh, where are you guys playing? And like, you know, before it used to be kind of like there's like 1 or 2 venues, and there's like so many. I mean, like I remember you mentioned there's so many. I mean, even like I don't know, man. Like I think like it's been really expanding. I wonder, you know, if a lot of it is kind of I don't know, the post-COVID appetite where people want to go.
Could well be, yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think there was a massive boom in like live shows and stuff like that after COVID. Like people were clamoring for it. Like it felt like nearly every show that you'd hear about was nearly selling out or at least packing out, you know. And then it felt like everywhere wanted to kind of cash in on that as well. So like it's deadly for Dublin because there's a load of places that you can play. But that can also kind of oversaturate it as well. Because it just means that like you have so much selection. It's like, shit, what should I go to? Oh, I can't pick. Maybe I'll go to nothing. Maybe I'll just stay in a pub and drink, you know? But then on the opposite side, like you have the likes of Cork and stuff where there's not many new venues really. Or like there's the really small ones and then the really big ones and there's nothing in between. And like people are kind of struggling to expand because of that, because they can't quite push, like they can't go from Fred's to Cypress Avenue. Right. You know, it's a massive jump to do. Yeah. And it's kind of a bit of a struggle like that as well.
I think it's also cool that, like, you know, in somewhere like Cork, I mean, like you mentioned Red Zeppelins, you mentioned Cypress Avenue, all these places, and like they've been around forever. You know what I mean? They seem to have a lot more longevity in place. Where I feel like in Dublin, like a lot of like cultural events, it was definitely a big issue. Like that I think seems to have got kind of settled down a bit in recent years. Like, but I remember like pre-COVID, actually, it was a big thing where it's like all these venues are closed and they're going to become apartments, you know, and it's like every fucking place is in. But I think we always get like a new slew of venues. So like, you know, I don't know, probably back in 2000 it'd be somewhere like April Doors or something like that, which doesn't exist anymore. But then you get like a place like Soundhouse, or you get a place like Workman's or something that didn't like exist then. It's like it just seems like it's always changing rather than
like Cellar's a
nowhere
big one now as well. Like
Cellar, that's massive, staple now. It seems like even MCD do shows there. It's mad.
I kind of prefer Cellar to the main room. I don't know if that's controversial, but I kind of think
I'd be the same.
Yeah.
It's
you can get more in the band's face. Like it's nice.
Definitely.
Instead of that kind of fucking god to your stage.
But it kind of works both ways as well. Like if it is like a solo acoustic act, you get something really intimate. But if it is just a 3-piece rock band, you can be right up there with them, like literally feel the sweat splashing off each other. You know what I mean? It's I prefer Cellar. I think it just has a cool vibe as well. Like it's a really interesting looking room. I think personally.
Oh yeah, it is cool.
It feels like a lot of times like you're there for like I don't know. It seems like the priorities to show. This sounds weird, but like when you go to the main room, it kind of just feels like you're going to the side of a bar. You know what I mean? Where it's like when you're in the Cellar, it just kind of feels like
you're in it.
Yeah, exactly. You're either there or you're not. Like,
yeah.
Sure.
I want to talk actually about so as I mentioned, your first single was High, which came out last August. I mean, what did you decide on that for like a debut to kind of like introduce the band, or was there much thought process into it? It's just like this is the one we like the most, or
I think it was like for me, I think I pushed for that one the most.
Yeah,
I think there's like we recorded a good few tracks with Les and Arid Studios. And just even coming back, like even before they were mastered, I was just like, that's already the most ready.
Yeah.
Like that's just ready to go compared to the rest. Like that is, like it just came out really easy. Like we didn't actually even practice that really before going to the studio. I think we wrote that like 2 weeks before going in or something like that. Like it's so fresh. I don't know also if that was a reason as well that it was one of the most fresh out of Junes or something like that. But it was definitely just like I like that. Liked it the most, I think.
That can be a huge deciding factor, can't it? When it's like, when something's new and it's kind of fresh and it sounds like, you kind of get addicted to it in the way you do when you discover a new song. And sometimes like you can kind of push for that, and then it's like, I know I'm not saying this in the case of High, but like just in general, when you kind of like look back, you kind of go, actually this song probably would have been better. It's hard to be objective.
I totally feel like that comparing High to like the singles that were going to be released, like even to Easy Yesterday. Like at the moment I prefer it than High, but I don't know if it's just because High was old or whatever. You know what I mean?
Well, High and Easy were written basically at the same time. Like they were kind of like written in tandem. But like,
true.
I think it's funny because like I don't think I thought about this at the time, but like knowing what songs were written when kind of like gives me an impression of them, and kind of going like, that doesn't sound like us, or this sounds like us now. Whereas I felt like, even though it was one of the newest, it felt like one that really bridged the gap. It really felt like an indicator of what we were doing. Like it was still really riffy, but also it's
just loving an elevator with like 50 chords.
There's literally like two guitar parts maybe. Do you know what I mean? There's like or two sections basically. There's the verse, there's the chorus, and then there's the middle section, which is just a variation of the fucking chorus.
Right.
You know, like exactly. It was just taking the guitar out. Like it was really simple, but really catchy and still really impactful.
Yeah. And
still really riffy as well, you know. So I guess it was I don't think I thought about that at the time, but it definitely in retrospect feels like, oh yeah, this is who we are.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And then as you mentioned, the new song is Easy, came out yesterday as we're talking. I was wondering sorry, once. I was wondering I was going to say, sorry. Yeah, when it comes to kind of sort of lyric content, but so I mean, Easy, if I'm correct, is kind of just about, I don't know, kind of like the day-to-day toils, if I'm correct. It seems like, a lot of struggles I think people will find. I mean, it's like about living at home and stuff.
Yeah, like that was, like for that lyric especially, like I think that I tried to like, cause I do the same, like I work and live at home or whatever. Or I have them for like I'm living out with Dylan at the moment. I'm not under with my parents or anything like that, but like just since COVID, work and at home, and I'm working at my home, and the working is at home, and home is work. You know what I mean? It's just that kind of blend. But it also, like, I did write that within mind of, like, people not being able to leave their family home at the moment, of, like, just living with their parents and working a full-time job, finishing college, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. That lyric came from there, but, like, the actual ethos of the whole song is more so, like, about that person that, like, in the friend group that's kind of, like, never happy, but, like, their life is relatively easy, like, in comparison. Everybody has shit. Like, doesn't matter if you're higher up on the pay grade, lower on the pay grade, whatever. Everybody's got their shit, but it's kind of like, you know, if only little things are bothering you, you got it pretty easy. You know what I mean? And that's the way I kind of wrote that song, mostly about, you know.
As a lyricist, I mean, what do you decide to kind of, like, just beyond this song and beyond, I mean, like, what do you decide to kind of, like, write lyrics about? Because, like, the attitude of the band seems to be, and correct me if I'm wrong, but seems to be kind of laid back and kind of sort of just rolling with whatever kind of comes to mind at any given time, if that's a correct assessment.
No, that's exactly how I write.
So how do you kind of decide what kind of, like, lyrics you want to put forward, what you want to talk about in terms of the topics?
To be honest, I think I'm more of, like, a clean up afterwards writer. Okay. So, like, I would, like, write a tune, like, just spit out a lyric as I'm, like, messing around on a new part on guitar and being like, oh, okay, that's cool. Write around that to an extent, finish the song, breeze over it at the end, and then I'm done. So I kind of, like, nearly, I don't know if you ever heard of, like, blind writing, where this, you know, you got your piece of paper and you just write, and it doesn't matter, you're not listening to any music, you're not doing that, and you're just writing phrase after phrase. It can be, like, imagery, it can relate to what you've written before, it can relate to what's coming up, it can blah blah blah. I find I write like that a lot, and then try to make meaning about what I've written afterwards. You know what I mean? Definitely kind of more so that, like, so what you're pretty much hearing is DJ's brain fucking falling out onto the page, and then the cleaner's getting called in, and, like, okay, let's put that back in. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let's get that back in there. Yeah. And then, like, that's pretty much how I don't, like. I used to not really like when people would ask, "Oh, what's that song about?" or what, like, in regards to artists that I really like. Because I always found that either, I don't know if I misinterpret lyrics, or if just, like, I hear exactly what they're saying and I take it a completely different way, and then the artist explains it in an interview and it's like, that's not what I was thinking, but, like, I'm going to try and block that out and go with what I was thinking already. But, like, it's also the opposite. I hear some artists and they explain it and I'm like, oh my God, thank you for explaining that.
Now I get it.
Now I get it. Like, so it's like, I don't know, it's a gray area for me in regards to writing. I just write, and then if I want it to make sense, I'll really clean up afterwards. But the actual process is a lot of vomiting on the page for me.
Yeah. That's fair, man. I think, like, a lot of times kind of free-flowing, just sort of letting stuff come out can kind of actually unearth a lot of things you wouldn't consciously think about.
Exactly, and also, if you decide, like, if you write your first, even if you write your first verse that came out, and then, like, the guys slag me for being a half song guy, like, because I have a lot of tunes coming up, but, like, a lot of them are, like, verse chorus, and that's kind of where I get stumped. It's like, oh no, I'm real proud of that, and then, like, I wrote that free of conscious, like, blah blah blah, just blurted out, was in flow, whatever, and then I'd go to actually think, and I'm like, okay, I want the second verse to that, and then I go, yeah, I'm distracted, and then go to a different song.
Start writing something else. Start writing a song.
Exactly. When I should just finish something that just melodically sounds right and then clean it up lyrically. But I just kind of fucking, I space myself out, or I freak myself out, and I'm just like, oh yeah, that was good. Now I try to tie that in, and I can't. New song. And I'm the half song guy.
Do you think, actually, something like that? Do you ever think, like, composing deadlines or anything like that kind of helps, or do you think that would just actually make it worse?
No, deadlines help. Like, there's, like, a couple of parts on the songs that we're releasing that I literally wrote, like, 20 minutes before going into the booth to record vocals. You know what I mean? So sometimes that can really help. Too much time does, like, more. I'm a procrastinator big time. So, like, having time doesn't sit with me well. I definitely like perform and finish under pressure. You know what I mean? But
I think also
just ask BIMM.
yeah. I got 8,000 words in 24 hours, baby.
But also, I mean, like, do you find like sometimes when you kind of like have all the time in the world with with your lyrics or with what you've written, you have all the time in the world to just kind of like ruminate on it and kind of I don't know, like be like, oh shit, maybe I could explain that better. Maybe I could kind of like compact this or rearrange it where when you don't have that time, just kind of go, no, that's good. Like I think I get what time.
Yeah, like because I kind of nearly like to treat songs like tattoos sometimes.
Okay.
I like to like leave them as they were in the situation because I feel like the older I get, I'll always like think I could have done it better or like it'll sound better or blah blah blah. But if you keep on doing that, like I'm a fucking dickhead for doing that in a recording process.
Yeah.
Like I will record something and then like a couple of months later I'll be like, nah, I want to redo that line that I did there. That line, blah 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 blah. But once it's out, I have to forget about it. It's done. You know what I mean? But like. Yeah, I just like to leave it where it is in the situation. If I can't manipulate it anymore, then I can't gaslight that song anymore into being good. You're gonna have to leave it like that,
Just, I guess one final thing I'll ask about lyrics is like, how do you find like writing, just from a lyrical perspective, writing for this band compared to other projects?
To be honest, like I've only ever done like my own acoustic stuff, and then Minus, which I was like the writer in that band, and now like Pretty, which is just the evolution from Minus. So like I haven't really been in others. Like I've done a little spots for other people that like wanted me to write lyrics, and I'll do that. That's fine. But like in regards to like my own thing and bands that I'm actually in pursuing, I don't touch the lyrics really. You know what I mean? Like besides my own stuff.
Yeah, I think you always come at it with the same ethos of just that kind of word vomit kind of shit. Like you don't really think, oh well, this is a heavier song, so it has to deal with something a bit more serious.
Unearth the graves and the Grim Reaper.
Yeah, exactly. He's not that type at all. Like,
I bet you're gonna get sued by that for some fucking band.
yeah.
Sorry, you have to use our lyrics as an example, You're like 15 fucking band. The one thing I want to ask you actually, kind of just as an aside, I mean, like, obviously you're into photography. How did you kind of get into that realm too?
Photography, kind of like, again, it's one of those things that I've always loved, like from my teenage years, but never thought of it as something that you had to practice or work at or could follow.
Right.
I had dipped a toe in here and there, like over the years, say sort of between 2017 and 2018, 2019. The whole reason I originally got a camera was literally for the metal band I was in at the time, This Place Hell. I just wanted something that I could put on a tripod and record the drummer so we'd have footage of him. And then I just picked that up and was like, I'm actually going to try and take some photos of this. Went to a couple of gigs and, didn't really understand what I was doing or how to use it or anything like that. And again, kind of fell off it. Then COVID happened, so there was no gigs, so I didn't really have a choice anyway. And it was only then when kind of things started opening back up. We were meant to play a gig in Fibbers with a Cork band, friends of mine, Worn Out. And Tom, our drummer, got COVID, so we couldn't play anymore. But I was meant to bring in gear for them, like a drum stool or some shit. So I went in, brought my camera, and I said to Evan, the drummer, I was like, do you want me to take some photos or videos? Like, what would you use? And he just said to me, follow your heart. And I was like, fuck, that's terrifying. But I just went in and just messed around, like just took some photos, took some video. The audio was dog shit. So I was like, okay, you're definitely not going to use that. But here's the photos. Maybe you'll like them. And they were like, oh, dude, these are sick. And I was like, oh, shit. Really? Like, they're good? What do you mean? And since then, like, I've fallen in love with it and like actually taken some time to understand how it all works. Like, I haven't tried to study like, how to compose a photo or anything like that. I feel like that kind of, not that it comes naturally to me, but it it should just be like when you see it, like does that look good or not? You know, it shouldn't be, oh well, I have to make sure that is it the rule of thirds? Is it the fucking Fibonacci spiral? Like whatever, like none of that shit. Yeah, like I literally just studied. Okay, how the fuck does a camera work?
Yeah,
and learned more and more about that and experimented from there, and just having fun then as well, like going to shoot bands that I had never heard of and seemed like fun, or just like finding that, oh, a friend is playing this gig, I'll go ask them if I can get in and shoot, and I'll shoot all the other bands and find bands like that then as well, and kind of just kept going from there. And then because of that, like even all the artwork since then has been all my photography, like you know, it's just fun. Like it's just something that I can't help myself with, you know. I don't know how to explain. Was
Evan's full quote "follow your heart," or was it like "follow your heart and step on your foreskin"?
That is more down his alley. We had the Worn Out lads staying at our gaff there just on Thursday nights. They played with Hero and Error, and I was on the whole tour with them, but they stayed in our gaff, and the next day waiting to go to Limerick, and Brian and Evan are just sitting in our kitchen with DJ while he's working, and fucking Brian's like working on some shit for their next release or whatever, and Evan just goes, "Alexa, set a reminder, Brian is gay." And she's like, "What time?" "Every day at 11:38. Every day since then it's been reminder, Brian is gay. And then at 12:03, reminder, Brian's foreskin. We just haven't turned them off.
No, they're a gentle reminder that boys will be boys.
We love the boys.
If I do decide to use this as a podcast, I apologise to anyone whose Alexa just got set off.
Please. Alexa, play Pretty Limited.
Oh yeah, that's a good show actually. I never even thought of doing that.
No, she doesn't fucking pick up our shit. There's so many problems with that.
I'm going to ask you a question that I fucking hate getting asked. So I worked in kind of live events for a bit. I did like various things, merchandise, ushering, front of house, bartending. One thing I'd always say when people say to me, like, "Do you get to see much of the gigs?" Like, "No, I'm working." As a photographer though, do you actually get to enjoy the shows you work at?
It's definitely a yes and no answer. Like,
because I assume you don't actually, you're being a professional, but you don't actually like all the music you have to cover. I assume, like, you don't. I'm not asking you to call anyone else.
No. I know, of course. No, there's definitely been opening acts, especially on gigs that I've seen where, bands have just needed someone to fill in a slot, or it's a band's first gig and you can tell it's their first gig or it's their first band and they're still very ropey. I'll always, like, if those bands talk to me, I'll always try and be honest and be like, "Look, this is what you need to work on." But I'll try and be honest with any band, like no matter how good or bad I think they are, I'll try and be honest and tell them where their highs and lows are.
Right.
In terms of like how much of the show I feel like I actually get to see, it definitely varies. Because like the likes of something like Worn Out, where so much is happening all the time and it's really high energy, you want to capture as much of that as possible. So you are seeing it, but you're kind of like, for me, like I've been trying to teach my girlfriend Sarah to do gig photography because she does it for us. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I always say is like you need to be able to see like that moment that you're in. You need to be able to see that moment through whatever physical camera lenses you have.
Right.
Like, am I going to shoot this in a fisheye or a 50mm or whatever? Like, and so when I'm seeing a moment through my eyes, I'm also seeing it through a fisheye or through a really close-up lens and being like, what the fuck do I need right now?
Yeah.
So I'm enjoying it. I'm like, this is class. How can I capture this the best? At the same time? For slower things, like obviously it's easier to take a breath and go, okay, I've definitely captured some really beautiful moments here. I can take a moment. If I see anything, it's not gonna it's very rarely going to be a really fleeting moment. Like it's not the same as like someone's crowd surfing and oh shit they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like there's a little bit more time to pause for thought and stuff like that. Yeah, like I definitely enjoy every show I go to shoot. Like one thing doing gig photography has taught me is really to appreciate so much more music than I would have before. Like I've always been quite open-minded in terms of genres and stuff like that, but in terms of actually like seeing the highs and lows in every artist, like it's given me a lot or a better perspective on that, I'd say.
Yeah. You know, dude, I always sweat when I go to like a hardcore show or like a metal show when you see like, you know, when you see the pit, like if it's at like somewhere that doesn't have a crash barrier, and you see these guys that have like, you know, fucking camera on the chest and then like one here, so it's like I don't know how many thousands of euros of equipment they're on them, and just fucking like right there on them. How do you kind of like do damage control for like, you know, making sure that your equipment is safe in those kind of scenarios? Yeah, can you do that really?
I don't. No, like I
I'll be
try.
sweating bullets, man. I'll be like, I'm gonna fucking from the back. I'm gonna be, you know,
Yeah,
like fucking JFK, that kind of shit.
from the grassy knoll.
Yeah.
Um,
And then like they get their shots back and they're like, yeah, you can see their highlights and that.
Is there another shooter?
There's no way you took this shot. Man.
Yeah. Couldn't come from that angle. Fuck. Like, I don't know. I definitely like stress about that going into the gig.
Right.
But once it's happening, like typically I only have the one camera that I use body wise. Then it's just swapping lenses, which is probably even worse than having an extra camera and just keeping lenses on them, because then you're exposing the sensor and all this fucking shit.
Right.
But my strategy is literally camera up above the crowd and just other hand in front and just like shoving my way through if I need to. But then, like at the same time, for instance, the last show of that Hero and Hero Worn Out tour in Fred's, I was basically on the stage with Worn Out the entire time.
Yeah.
So I couldn't get into the crowd. There was no point in me getting into the crowd either, because all I probably would have done for the sake of a couple of shots would be stall the crowd.
Right.
Then, you know, because as mental as those shows do get, the people are very conscious about someone being in danger.
Right.
Like, I don't know how many times I've seen someone go over, like go down in a fucking pit at a hardcore show,
Yeah.
and immediately everybody's like, get them up,
Yeah.
you know, straight away. Like there's no malice in any of those shows. But then because of that, I'm like, there's not much point in me getting into the front. Like, unless there's already a bit of a gap, all I'm gonna do is disrupt that crowd and make them go, oh, hold on, let's chill for a bit while he gets his photo. And like, no, I want you to have your fun, because that's what I'm here to capture. It's not all about like, oh, here's a really cool photo of the band. It's like, here's the people that enjoy that band. Here's the community that they've created. You know what I mean? Here's the energy. You know.
I look at man like this, all these kind of like considerations, the artistic consideration have to be done in very quick time. Like because it's not you can't like be like, oh, can we repaint it? You know? It's
Get
not
back
like,
into position.
Funny you should say that though, because on the first day, Genova were playing in Dublin.
Right.
And they were opening, and Kieran McKenzie, the new guitarist for them, he's from Cork as well. I've known him for years, and he's fucking insane like on stage. But he always throws these massive kicks, like just foot as high in the fucking air as he can. And at the Dublin show, I had two tight lens on when he threw one up, and I showed it to him, and I was like, "That's hilarious, but it's a shit photo."
Right.
And he was like, "Don't worry, Cork, we'll get some." And there's literally a moment it's burned into my memory, and I have the photo of it where he looks at me and just goes, "Now," like while playing, and I'm like, "Shit!" And man, his foot is straight up, like it's from one foot on the ground, the other foot is pointing at the ceiling, and it's fucking hilarious, like it's insane. But I still have that vision of him ingrained, just now. Yeah. And I'm like, "What do you mean now?"
And one fun thing I want to ask about kind of like, you know, your career as a photographer. I mean, like, you find like going to like so many shows kind of influences kind of like what you want to do for your own projects? I mean, in terms of like visually, or in terms of like the stage show, or even something like interacting with the audience. Like, does it influence it, or
Massive. Like one of the first shows I actually shot was Robert Grace in the Academy.
Okay.
And I remember one of the things that he did that we do now at our shows is he had this new song, wasn't released or anything like that, and he said, look, I'm going to play this song. I know you don't know it, but it's really easy to sing, so I'm going to teach you the chorus right now, and when it comes in, just sing it along with me. That's all I'm asking. And we do that now because we know that not everybody that comes to see us knows us or has heard the songs, and then some of them just aren't released either. So we'll do that. And then like even our stage attire, like a massive influence on that was Really Good Time, and just seeing the uniform. Because as soon as you see them, like you see them walking through the venue in those boiler suits, you're like, there's the band. you know that's the band. They're not just some fucking punters walking around. Like, and that idea of like, oh shit, that must be the band. That's kind of what like prompted like the velour tracksuits first, and then the all white kind of boy band look. For us, it was just something more funny than like too serious as well. But
I think it does set the tone very well, like in terms of like the tone in terms of like kind of like your attitude. But it's like as you say, it's like we're not taking this too seriously. But we're not, but it's also it's like it's not a comedy band. Yeah,
exactly. Like we're obviously professionals. Like we do think about these things, but we're also like, let's have a good time. Let's just have a laugh together. Let's have a dance. We're not here to get too rowdy or anything, or like kick anybody's head in. We just want to, sing a few tunes, have a few drinks, and have a laugh. Like,
not fair, man. And I guess one fun thing I'll ask about bands. So I mean, you mentioned kind of like playing like Limerick, Cork, Derry, obviously. I mean, like, was that kind of like the goal from the beginning to try and get around the country as much as you can? Maybe even I don't know, do shows in the UK or in the mainland or anything like. What's the kind of like those kind of prospects? Because I mean, do you find that? How do you kind of find like even just getting those shows? Like, what do you do? Do you cold email? Do you like rely on connections you already know? How do you kind of
I think it's like finding your mates' bands, and like people give you a dig out with a contact here or there for a venue or whatever. And it's a lot of that, and a lot of like, as I said, like cold email and stuff like that, and just hopefully get a bite. But like, it's
always the worst.
Exactly, and then we're working on like UK stuff at the moment, nothing set in stone, but like hopefully, definitely before the end of the year, we're like over there once or twice. You know what I mean? But just doing that, you just got to get them in concrete, and then go from there. You know what I mean? Like Ireland's not too bad now, getting shows. As long as you're giving them the time, like everything's fine. But just trying to play as much. Hopefully, get on some good slots, and just go from there.
Yeah, we do. We really want to get over to the UK, and we are working on it. But it's tough as well when, as we've said, no one knows us over there yet. There's not really a reason for promoters to give us a chance just yet.
So that'd probably be like a sports talk thing.
Yeah, even then, like, because like, I mean, just how many like talented acts there are in Dublin alone, never mind Ireland. And then when you look at the size of the UK, you're like, okay, shit, like it's literally one of the biggest music industries in the world. Like, you know what I mean? So like it probably would be like an opening slot for a local band, even in the UK if we were to do anything. But it's something we're working on. It's just we just need to get that foot in the door and just show people why they want to see us.
Yeah, I always thought like a good idea would be like do like a package thing. I don't know, like get like 5 bands and try and come around. Like I've always said, like that's probably like the way you could do it. If like no one's doing it. But even then, I don't know.
Going around with like a crew, like 3 or 4 Irish bands.
Something like that. Like a showcase. But I don't know. Like even then, I don't know the practicality of it. We even had one act who was kind of had a bit of traction. And then it means, but like you said, even then, like pulling it down, because like in Dublin alone, forget even the rest of the country, which has every pocket has like such good talent, man. It's insane. Like it's insane. You go to like a show for £5 and it's like fucking amazing, man. It's like it's really, man. It's like it's funny because like I remember I used to play in bands when I was a teenager. We didn't really get anywhere, but like I'd go see bands who were kind of at my level at well, it's now what's it called Soundhouse actually, but it used to be the Point.
Yeah,
PINT, and and you see kids who are kind of like 15 to 18, kind of that age range, and as I would have been at the time, and just like they're just doing like a set list of covers and their shit, and it kind of like it makes it manageable. Like you're like, oh shit, like these guys suck, but we suck, but like it's manageable. You can get gigs. But like now you go and you see shows, man, it's like fucking everyone's just incredible. It's like, oh my fucking god, you know what I mean? Like I think if I was like a kid today, man, starting out, I'd be like so dissuaded and like I fucking can't.
It's way more intimidating, I think. Like, everybody is just like, even we went to Understarling there on the 11th of April, and like literally he came out with that saying going, oh my god, like the jump in talents in the last couple of years is just insane.
And
like,
it wasn't even like Understarling, unreal, seen him a few times, like great, but it was like all the sport acts. It's like what was it? Dry Eyes?
Yeah, Dry Eyes, Affection to Rent.
My fucking days. Catch them. Like that was my first time ever seeing it. And there was someone else.
We missed the first band, like Public Warning, I think.
Public Warning,
we got in too late for that, unfortunately.
But yeah, like fucking great stuff. It's really nice to be able to just go, I want to go for a drink in town. You're guaranteed to get good tunes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Anywhere that's putting live music, at least.
There's something like good showcase, like the it's actually there's two happening tonight as we talk. I think one was Soundhouse Rising.
That's every Tuesday, isn't it?
Oh,
or every second Tuesday.
I don't know. I don't know the schedule, but I think it's on tonight. You have Tilt, which is on tonight.
I'm heading to that now.
I'm glad not to actually see there. And what else? You also have EXO, great promoters. I think like really on some great shows and shit like that. Like I think there's like a lot more opportunities to get booked and to actually kind of get an audience, and people didn't get loyalty to promoters like EXO or promoters like like varying promoters going around the scene and stuff like that. Like where before, I do feel like the industry is getting a lot better. Even like I see like international acts come to Ireland, and it used to be kind of like they just play Dublin and Belfast. Where now I think like there are like Limerick's is becoming a really hot spot for like touring artists, for smaller acts, but like bigger acts too. They play like I'm seeing so many shows that are coming here where it's always like Belfast, Ulster Sports Club, Limerick, Cashbot, and then like Dublin, either Workman's or Grand Social. Like so many tours like that, man. Now from international acts, I think the opportunities are a lot better. But I don't know, man. I wonder if it's a lot more intimidating though, because we're kind of like, I want to get my foot in the door.
It is, and it isn't. Like I think the main thing that not bothers me, but like that I hope for is that like the people start giving more local music a chance. Because like I think like as you said, there's so many promoters and stuff like that are giving young new bands a chance, and there's so many opportunities for showcases and stuff like that. But it's still hard to convince like the average person that just listens to 2FM to go and check out a local band, to not listen to Dua Lipa or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's still really tough, and it's not that every unsigned artist in Ireland is a rock band or anything like that. Like you have the likes of Cubana and stuff like that are doing this pop thing, or soul or jazz, but like in that kind of R&B context, like that is really accessible and really could be mainstream if people gave it an opportunity. And I think that's my only sort of hope for things like that.
Yeah, and it's definitely not like tokenism. It's not like, I'm listening to Irish to support, but I don't really like it. It's like, no, it's fucking good.
Yeah, exactly. It's because it actually is genuinely.
Yeah, and that's the thing that's annoying. It's like, give it a chance, you know what I mean? I know, like, the way, like, now, like, everyone's saying, like, the Irish, like, at the Oscars and stuff, they're going to get, like, big things. Like, okay, let's do it. Like, music next, it'd be kind of sick,
Yeah, I do think there is a bit of a happening, because, like, you have, like, Ireland Music Week that is exporting stuff to, like, South by Southwest and stuff. Obviously, there was that big thing with them where none of the Irish acts are doing it anymore, and fair play to them. Like, I absolutely, like, support that, but it is also, it's just really good to see that there is an opportunity for Irish music to be exported now to the UK and US and stuff like that. Scratch literally did a US tour, like, do you know what I mean? Like, and that's like full on kind of like modern Irish music, do you know what I mean? That's so cool to see, like, actually flying with a US audience as well,
Yeah, I thought it was funny because they scratch open for Tropical Motors over here, and then they got to open for them in Boston, and Kneecap got to open for them. I'm like, that's insane. It's funny to me that like a band like Kneecap can be as big as they are. Like, you know, it's like that's fucking sick.
Honestly, yeah.
It's just crazy.
So
like,
That's class.
Yeah.
But to be like as outspoken as that, and just being like,
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's really cool. And obviously, you know, doing Australia and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
it's got that real like Rage Against the Machine kind of attitude to it, where it's like we're not fucking pulling any punches, like we're telling you exactly how it is. But then for it to be as massive as it is,
like
so
that can
cool.
get you on Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah.
That was the funniest thing ever. When I saw fucking Kneecap on Jimmy Fallon, I was like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah, man, you guys have been very gracious with your time. I really appreciate talking with you. I guess like one of the final things I'll ask, like what do you have? You mentioned kind of like trying to get singles to June, potentially July, potentially August. Do you guys have actually a bunch of like songs like backlog? Did you kind of record in bulk and then decide to release them? I think that's a smart like way to go about it, because like you know, it kind of gives you a bit more longevity, I guess.
It gives you more time to decide, and it gives you like time to like, especially like this idea of like trying to release a lot regularly, just kind of keeping the momentum going and stuff like that. And then while you have the backlog there and you're fresh to write new tunes on top of it, you just keep topping it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's an unfortunate reality of not that most people view Spotify as a social media outlet, but Spotify definitely wants artists to treat it like one in some respects, where they just want you to be putting stuff out regularly. And it's not that we're just churning shit out for the sake of it. Like Neat Trick was written. Oh fuck!
I'm gonna say
it was played. Yeah, it was played live for the first time in 2019.
Yeah,
2019. And
it's
literally only got released.
The previous project is pretty.
Yeah, so like literally, like we played Neat Trick as minus 10,000 hours in Cork in 2020.
Start of 2020.
Start of 2020. And like it's literally only got released this year. Do you know what I mean? Like it only got recorded in 2022 or something like that.
Did Neat Trick sound different then compared to now, or is it like pretty much the same song?
More or less. There was a few minor changes to it, like, but we were more or less happy with it, how it was, and even Les and Art was like, that's it. That song is it, like it's how it is, and it doesn't need to be changed.
Did the job.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, it's not like we're just churning shit out for the sake of it. It's all stuff that we're really proud of. But we can't wait to get the newer stuff ready to release as well. You know what I mean? We're really excited about what we're writing now.
I like this idea that you have like a big backlog, and every time we go to release, I'm like, should the same songs better? Because we're talking about
Tell me that happens.
I think most artists will say that anyway. But
there's going to be some songs in my Yu-Gi-Oh graveyard. They're just going to stay there, and they might get resurfaced in like, I don't know, Eulogy or something. Remember that song?
I play Monster Reborn.
Yeah.
And then, I guess finally, like as we mentioned, like, you know, and the plans for the rest of the year. I mean, beyond that, I mean, I assume, like you mentioned, you have live dates kind of coming up. Any interest in like things like festivals or anything like that, like applying for anything? Because like
loads of interest from us.
The opposite side, maybe not so much.
Yeah, it's that thing as well that like as Pretty Limited, we're not even a year old, so I'd say it'd be more so like keep busy with releasing tunes, just keep gigging, and like in my head, like obviously if something gets offered to us or like someone gets back to us for something, happy days. But I think next year will be our festival run year, hopefully.
Do you think it's cooler that like now festivals are kind of becoming a bit more open to just taking blind demos from people and stuff like that? Yeah, because I mean, you guys, I mean, already, even though you say you're only like a year old, I mean, like have kind of a discography the size of like some artists who've been around for 7 years now at this point.
Yeah.
So do you find like you'd apply and like, okay?
Yeah, like maybe, like it's definitely that thing, like especially like when the festival applications and all that opened and like they usually open like November, December or whatnot. Like we just had the one song out at the time, so like I don't know, like we sent in a few things and stuff like that, but whether we get something like this late in the game, like what we're nearly May.
Yeah.
Probably not, but like I think it's gonna be hopefully next year. That'd be the thing. Like if we get last minute slots, I'll take them. I'll take that. I'll take all of them. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, please.
But yeah. For now, just this year, just concentrate myself. We're booking our own gigs. We're not like a lot of the gigs that we're doing. We're not even doing supports. We're doing headline. We're booking our own places. We're paying our money for the venues, and we're getting our own people in. Like so, that's just gonna keep trucking like that.
Yeah. What you could do is like use your photography passes and just like get the lads in the side door. Oh, come down the stage.
The gear's already there.
It's actually a 3-piece band as well. That's playing.
It's like push them over.
It's in standard.
And that's how you're gonna get gigs. Alright, thanks very much for your time, lads. Is there anything you'd like to add before we wrap up?
Sorry?
Is there anything you'd like to add before we wrap up? Or stream the
fucking
music?
Yeah, literally just give us a fucking chance. Like,
Yeah.
stream the music, come to a show.
Give us a follow,
like,
you know.
give us a follow, all that sort of shit.
You want to drop the social links or off the top of
At Pretty Limited Band.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, Pretty Limited Band on fucking Instagram and TikTok, and then it's Pretty Ltd on Spotify. I think that's all what we're on though at the moment.
Yeah.
I think I made a Facebook page to try do fucking Instagram ads or some shit.
Oh yeah.
But it literally doesn't even have a profile picture at the moment. I just like, okay, it's done, right? I can do the ad thing now.
And if any older people want to email us, it's prettylimitedband@gmail.com.
Yeah.
If you don't got those socials. Who likes to have an email conversation?
Honestly, I love an email thread.
Yeah.
Alright.
That's it, man.
Cheers,
Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to that episode of Post-Burnout.com interviews. We hope you enjoyed it, and to reiterate what we said at the start of the podcast, we hope you'll consider subscribing, liking, sharing, all that good stuff. It really does help us a lot. We're an independent venture ran by yours truly, and we're trying to expand and grow, get more interesting guests like this, and continue our output, maybe bring some new people on, and everything you do helps us out in that. So thank you very much. If you're feeling very generous, we do have a donate button in the episode description, but don't feel obliged, obviously. Additionally, we now have the occasional bonus episode, which is going to be exclusive to our Spotify. Those are just little bonuses for people who are interested in checking us out more, who want to support the website. That's an option there too. So once again, thanks very much for listening to this episode. We appreciate if you'd share it around and like, subscribe, all that stuff. See you next time, hopefully.